I wrote a full novel in under 4 months, and I did it by using this thing called placeholders. Now, hopefully by the end of this video, I can convince you to do the same. If you've never seen me before, my name is Colby. I'm a writer of fantasy and science fiction, and I hope to publish a book one day. I'm working towards that goal. But I work 40 hours as a physical therapist, and I do lots of fun things outside of work, but I still write my stories really consistently without burning myself out. One way I do that is by using placeholders in my first draft. If you've never heard that term before, it is basically something we use as writers when we don't have a specific name for a term, a person, or a place, something like that we don't want to spend the conscious effort and time it takes to come up with a name in the moment. So for example, a lot of people will have placeholder titles for their book. They haven't thought of a perfect title yet, so they'll just say placeholder, parentheses, placeholder. When I write my first draft, I am using those everywhere. Unless it is like the main POV or one of the major side characters, when I'm writing the story in the first draft, I'm just trying to get the words on the page from start to finish. That is the most important thing when it comes to the first draft, is finishing it. You can make it look good in revisions. That's what the point of editing and revising is for. It's making it look like you knew what you were doing the whole time. So here's what I'm trying to convince you to do. Anytime you're writing and you come across a side character that's not that important, a place that you're not going to be frequently visiting, even like terms in your magic system if you're writing fantasy, or tech if you're writing science fiction, that isn't absolutely crucial to the story, just type in parentheses name. Like literally N-A-M-E, parentheses name. That's what I do. And the reason is because that keeps your momentum going. We've all hit that flow state when you're writing and you feel like you could write for hours. Sometimes it's not like that. But even when it is like that, something as simple as having to stop for a minute and think about a name that fits this perfect situation can totally derail your progress for that day. And day-by-day progress is what's going to get you to writing a full novel. Now, when I go back to revise this, which I'm going to be doing very soon, I'm going to have a lot of parenthesis names to work through. But that's okay. I'm willing to spend the time on these second, third, fourth revisions perfecting those placeholder names than it would have taken me to do on the first draft. And there's really two very easy ways to do this in revisions. One is you're going to be reading through chapter by chapter when you're doing your revisions anyway. So you're going to read the parentheses names. You're going to run across them. So you just fix them at that time. But after you do that, if you're still worried that you missed it, type in Control F, whatever the find key is on your system you're using. And then I just type in name without the parentheses. And I make sure I didn't miss any of those placeholders in there. The reason I'm making this video is because when I first started writing, I had the assumption that I needed to have everything coherent in the first draft. And it's why it took me 2 to 2.5 years to write my first book. Since then, when I've written books, my first draft takes me about 6 months. This was the fastest I've written a book because I used placeholders pretty frequently. Anytime I didn't immediately have the name come to me, I just put name and moved on. And I know that that's not a problem because it wasn't like that suddenly confused me. It just kept me going in the story. And I know I can fix it later. And guess what? Nobody's going to see that first draft except you. So who cares if it's littered with name, parenthesis name, parenthesis name? Occasionally, I would even do it for description. If I knew that I was rolling through a scene and doing really well with my progress, but I came across something that I know is going to be really important and I want to make it really descriptive and really beautiful and really set the scene, I would put parentheses description and then I would move on because I knew I needed to come back to that with a fresh set of eyes and a brand new start to the day and really hammer that well. But I knew I didn't want to do that in the moment because it would have slowed my progress down for the day, which could have derailed my whole week because truthfully, that can happen. So I want you to use more placeholders, especially in your first draft. I promise you it will make a difference. But hey, the more first drafts you write, the more full books you're going to write because you cannot finish a book without first finishing the first draft. All right, guys, hope this helps. Until next time, keep writing.